Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. We're virtual only. We're based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. The phone number works if you'd like to contact us. We do the philosophy of eschatology, what you need to know, what your reality will be, what's our existence, why are we here, what's the purpose of all of this. We solve a little bit of revelation each week, and what we're trying to solve is when do you run for your bunker? When do you run for a cave? Or we're going to cite Isaiah 26. When do you run for that prayer closet? Well, I'm paraphrasing, but that seems to be what he's talking about. So let's discuss this. Let's look at it. So if you're remaining alive at some point in time during the final 7 years, you will need to run for something, either a cave or a bunker or something like that. It could be due to nuclear war. It could be due to solar issues or many other issues. The main thing is you need to know when and what's a good time frame and where. Only Earth dwellers, obviously. I'm saying based on what I see going on, and I'll give you good evidence for this. We have 7 to 9 years to go. We probably have 5 years to start really nailing down what our cave would be if you're poor like I am. It's a cave, okay? And why life is preferable to death, okay? So the cave idea works even for the poor people. If you can just get underground for periods of time, you don't need to have the Rock Raven mountain complex. You don't need, so they have all these locations for the federal government to run to, and all the rich people will run to them, but they could be rock graves, okay? Just as simple as that. So the rocks, at some point in time, the crazy people or the wealthy people of the world will say, fall on us, rocks, and hide us from the wrath of the Lamb. Well, when will this be occurring, and when do we need to run underneath the ground? Well, they're going to run under the ground sooner than you. You need to wait it out longer than that. Now, you'll run underground a little bit. I'll show you in the sixth seal, but then you'll have to come back out again and observe what's going to occur. So once again, when do you run? When do you look like a fabulous babe under the ground with no light or anything like that? You'll have fake light down there and generators. But once again, it could be caused by nuclear conflagrations. Russia and China are threatening it on a daily basis right now. Or it could be a magnetic pole shift. Okay, and so we could have all sorts of issues caused where you would need to run underground. Now, if you're in the wrong location underground, you're going to have a watery grave. It depends. You could have a fiery grave too. The fire will burn out the earth at the end. So, and the main thing is, I'd like you to be aware that World War III or this cataclysm it probably won't resemble what you think or what you envision. Okay, based on how I read the Bible, it's a wave of plagues. The bombs could occur at the end, no doubt about it. There will be this Armageddon at the end. You could have all the best prepper food in the world, and you could be in the wrong location, or you could have improper ways to fight diseases or infections and things like that. And based on the research that I've done, it seems like that's the greater fear. You aren't going to be beheaded as much as you probably will get sick and not know what to do. Okay, so lemons, white vinegar, things like that. Um, she gives you a little recipe down here. This is from a friend of mine. Use lemons in white vinegar and let them sit for about a week, and then strain the vinegar into a container, and it smells a little bit more like lemon than vinegar. You know why? It cleans and it'll disinfect those. And lemon lasts for a long, long time. And vinegar does too. So keep those things in mind. Don't use the standard cleaning supplies. They're toxic, people. Okay, so black seed oil. This is from Jennifer Depew. She's a friend of mine on Twitter. Black seed oil, pomegranate, citrus peel, olive leaf extract, Artemisia, or sweet wormwood. Okay, and that makes a great tea, wonderful tea. Methyl B complex, Epsom salts, trace mineral complex. These are things that we used to use. Iodine, seaweed, selenium, Brazil nuts, niacin, riboflavin, thiamine, and benfotiamine. I don't know. She had problems with spelling it too. World War III will be fought with viruses. How does the Wall Street Journal know this? Advice: get ivermectin, quinine, HCQ, quercetin, fresh garlic, turmeric, cinnamon, slow release of vitamin C, D3, all these wonderful things that you need to have. So you need to be prepared for all of the possibilities as you would prep. Okay, so we do the philosophy of the end of days. What we're talking about is the cataclysm that will come at the end, and when, and what you should do to prepare for it. So, as always, the seals of Revelation were supposed to be sealed up in secret. Back in Daniel 12:4, he cites that. But in Revelation 22, he says unseal it. So much of the information is coming out now. But seals on this scroll would be opened silently. So I'm positing that the seals are already opening and you just don't know it because it's silent. But they're growing. And even friends like John Haller, a very wonderful friend, he's thinking that they might be open. I'm thinking that they definitely are open, that we're heading into the fourth seal. So, but Daniel, keep these words secret and seal up the book until the time of the end. That's where we're at. Many will rush here and there to bunkers or caves as knowledge increases. Daniel 12:4. So let's go through some seals real quick and just give you an idea of where we are. Okay, I'm arguing that seal one opened in 1967, and immediately after that, you saw hippies come to faith in Yeshua, whether Jewish or Christian or whatever else. But you also saw the Lamb open up one of the seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures say, as it were, a voice of thunder, "Come and behold." That's hene in the Hebrew. Really, this is a big thing. Behold, but scream it, okay? Hene, and they would say that when they saw Yeshua alive again. So, and I saw a white horse, and he who was sitting on it had a bow. It's taxon in the Greek, it's keshet in the Hebrew. It could mean as much as a rainbow, yes. And that's also found in Ezekiel 39:3. And there was given to him a garland. That's a wreath, that's a winner's wreath. It's not a crown. And he went forth overcoming, that he may overcome, and I'm arguing Western civilization. Western civilization has lost its collective mind since 1967. We have become the hippie generation and stupid people. And so I'm arguing that after 1973, you just knew everything was falling apart. But we've also had these wonderful moves of God's Spirit, too, during these time frames. So then, number two is lakak shalom. Just keep that in mind. That's the Hebrew way of saying it. The peace is going to be snatched away. When the Lamb opened the second seal, I believe this occurred in 9/11/2001 as the second Bush. It doesn't matter if it's George Sr. or George Jr. They were both trying to take peace away from the world by kicking the hornet's nest, okay, which is the Arab faiths, okay? And so he opened the second seal. I heard the second living creature say, "Come." And then another horse. Now, that's the Greek word allos, which means that the first seal can't be the Antichrist, because each one of these is just an allos in the Greek. It's just another. They're all very, very similar. Like I cite Zechariah 6, they're all basically four spirits sent out by God. And another horse came out, a fiery red one. Interesting how that works out in the Greek. When you go back to the Septuagint, you see that in Zechariah 6. You see fiery red, okay? Very interesting that he would not have it be Udom, which would be red. Fiery red. Its rider was given power to snatch peace, to literally take it away, lakak shalom, from the earth, and to make people kill each other. To him was given a large sword, a Makira sword. So basically there's a killing sword in Revelation 6:4. Then there's the supernatural sword of Revelation 6:8. We'll see that in just a minute here. Okay, seal 3, I believe, opened up in 2012 based on a prophecy that I happened to be listening to back in 2012. And the food prices are going through the roof, and you know that, and they're going to get much worse. So be prepared for that. That's why we're talking about prepping. Okay, third seal, black, north of Jerusalem, based on Zechariah 6 directions. When he opened the Chotam, the Hashlishi, the third seal, I heard the third living being say, "Come and see Hene again," okay? And I saw Hene, the black horse, and the one sitting on it having a pair of scales. That's always, in Hebrew thought, denotes judgment. So judgment is coming, and in his hand is Yod. And Zechariah 6:2 again. I'm citing a lot from Zechariah 6. That's why I'm citing, and this is the Orthodox Jewish Bible. He really cites the Hebrew context of this, and you need to know that. As it were, I heard a voice, a call in the midst of the Arba Chayot, the four living beings, saying, a quart of wheat for a denarius and a shlosha of quarts for a barley. It's basically your day's food for a day's wages for a denarius, because you're poor. But the shemen, the oil, and the yayin, the wine, for the wealthy people, do not harm. Why? Because, well, they're wealthy and they won't care, and so they're going to adikesis, which is Greek word G91, may not harm. That means lo avanim in Hebrew. That means that you are doing an avon sin, you wealthy people, when you won't share with the poor, when you go in your bunkers and you're willfully sinning against other people. You should be helping them. You should be feeding other people. You should be taking care of other people. And the wealthy won't care. That's the third seal. Fourth seal. When you opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the living creature call out, saying, "Come." And I looked, and behold, was a pale green horse, chloros in the Greek. And now that is the first time I think that we're representing death, because it's a pale green. It's a death green. Okay, its rider's name was Death. That's the second citation, because his name is Thanatos, which is a way of saying death. So death, death, death so far. Then Hades. Hades is the third time that death is listed, because that's where dead people go. Followed with him. To them were given, and so that is to all of us on the planet, we're given authority, exousia in the Greek. That's an executive level delegated authority, which means that the spirit has the right to kill. That's the fourth death reference, with the Ramphea. So the four different ways that he kills is the Ramphea again, supernatural sword. The weird way that it's cited by the rabbis is it's invasions. Think about invasions. Just plot that out in your mind right now. Invasions. So that's the supernatural sword. Then by famine, that's limo, that's crop failure. Then by death, there is another citation. That's Thanatos again. So he's named Thanatos, and he brings Thanatos. Okay, he brings four plagues. That's the fifth citation of death. And then by the Therion, which are little tiny animals, biological sized warfare animals. Yeah, that's Revelation 6, 7 through 8. And I have friends that are brilliant, and they say, oh, the word is gay. That means earth. That means he has a power over a fourth of the earth. No, as I showed you, there are 5 different references in here to death, 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 death. So realize it's death. Okay. Then, once again, mass migrations is the Ramphea sword, according to the rabbis. Limo is crop failures. Thanatos is death, whatever, generally cancers, could be war. Animal pandemics, but they're little tiny animals, biological warfare. Should we run for our bunker at this point in time? No, absolutely not. Do not run to the bunker now. Okay, fifth seal, martyrdom. Don't run to your bunker now. So the believers will be the scapegoats as a result of a quarter of the world's population, 2 billion people dying. The bad people will persecute the good people. When the Lamb broke the fifth seal, I saw underneath the altar the souls, the neshama, of those who had been put to death for proclaiming the word of God, that is, bearing witness. They cried out in a loud voice, Sovereign ruler Hakadesh, the true one, how long will it be before you judge the people living on the earth and avenge our blood? Each one of them was given a white robe, and they were told to wait a little longer until the full number of their fellow Meloha Goim, Meloha in this case, Hagios. I'm mixing my metaphors, sorry. When the fellow servants would be reached of their brothers who would be killed just as they had been. So there has to be more killed. And so that's not the right time to go underground either. That's the right time to either kill or to be killed or to live through to another day. So, sixth seal. Yes, you're going to run underground for a short period of time. Then you're going to want to pop back up again. Okay. So, sixth seal, minimum that it could occur by is March 25th, and I'll give you the reasons in just a second here. Okay. Then I watched as he broke the sixth seal, and there was a great earthquake. I'm arguing, based on Ben Davidson, that is a micronova that unlocks the crust and the mantle breaks free. The sun turned black. That is not an eclipse. That is a micronova. That's the final stage of the micronova. As sackcloth worn in mourning. And also, it can't occur at the same time as the full moon becomes blood red, because the sun would eclipse at a different time than the blood red moon would eclipse. So the next one is due on Adar 14, which is March 14th of 2025, but it could happen after that, but at least it's 2 years away. The stars fell from heaven to earth, micronova dust production event. Just as the fig tree drops its bitter winter figs, when shaken by a strong wind, the sky receded like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved from its place. That's Revelation 6, 12 through 14, but it sounds a lot like Isaiah 24. Okay, so once again, the next blood moon eclipse that's due that could potentially have a sun solar micronova attached to it would be March 14th, 2025, or September 7th of 2025, or March 3rd of 2026, or then we move out to 28, 29, 30. So we're 7 to 9 years, well, 9 years off. Okay, we are 9 years off, maybe 12, maybe 14. That's the eclipses do. They have to coincide, people. You have to have both the sun and the moon giving you the signs. So once again, then the kings, the earth's kings and the rulers and the generals, the rich and the mighty, indeed everyone slave and free, that includes the poor people like you and I, hid themselves in the caves and among the rocks and the mountains. So a cave is good, but then you can pop back out again because you'll want to go back in. The next sign will be really cool. Okay, rocks and the mountains, it said to the rocks and mountains, fall on us and hide us from the face of the one sitting on the throne and from the fury of the Lamb. So it's both God the Father and God the Son, and the fury is coming from the Lamb. Keep it in mind, okay? And that's proof that the rich and the poor will be aware of the sixth seal. We'll see the sign in the sky. We'll know what's going on, and I'll explain it in the next slide. We'll know the wind, okay? And the great day of their fury, orge in the Greek, has come, and who can stand? And that means then afterwards, some period after that, we would go into the seventh seal and then go into the Great Tribulation. According to Ben Davidson, he would describe it this way. At some point, Earth's weakening magnetic field will weaken so much that the planet will not be able to sustain even a moderate disruption in the solar wind. When that occurs, the grids will go down and there will be no more power as the sun continually ramps up toward the micronova and the Earth's magnetic field continues to weaken. Cosmic radiation will bombard the planet more and more and more. And that sounds like Revelation 7:16. At some point, the solar system will enter the point where the galactic magnetic reversal occurs. The sun will go dark for 3 days, followed by a solar micronova, and the planet will go like, and it will twist. And so your poles will shift. Okay, do you run to your bunker at that point in time or your cave? No, the wealthy will go run to a cave and then pop back out again. Do not go to a bunker. They're going to go underground at that point in time. It's a bad, bad idea. Okay, so when the winds go quiet, so this is just before the seventh seal, when the turbulence ceases. And I'll give you evidence that the turbulence is increasing right now in my next slide. After this, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth so that no wind would blow on the land and the sea or on the tree, or no wind at all, okay? Right now, the winds are getting windier. The turbulence is much worse. And check out the poor planes that are fighting through the turbulence and the poor pilots. I saw another angel coming up from the east with the seal of the living God, and he shouted to the 4 angels who had been given power to harm the land and the sea, do not harm the land or the sea or the trees until we have sealed the servants of God on their foreheads. The 144,000. So that's Revelation 7:1-3. Do you run to your bunker then? No. It'll be intriguing to watch that solar micronova and the blood moon and the fig-like asteroids bombarding your head, but they won't hurt you. You will want to be underground during a period of time during the micronova because it would fry you. It would hurt you. Okay, so you want to be underground for a short period of time. Pop back up, notice the winds die off, and then realize you're going in right after this. Okay, so here's my evidence that you'll notice when the turbulence ceases. Why flights are experiencing 55% rise in clean air turbulence over the past 40 years, and it's getting much worse. I talked to pilots and stewards, and oh, it's bad. This creates a phenomenon called wind shear, a sudden change in wind speed and direction over a short distance. So basically, the last 2 types, you cannot see this sudden change. You can't, because it's clean air turbulence. Normally you can see it coming up and you know it's going to happen. You see clean air, but you can't really see that it's going to be turbulent until you hit the turbulence. That's why it's called clean air turbulence. And this is on the right hand side. That was the New York Post. On the left hand side, on the right hand side, it's AGU, which is going to tell you, scientifically speaking, this is going to have increases the largest over USA and North Atlantic, which are both busy flight regions. So be very careful when you fly. If you think that it's going to be much worse, don't fly. Don't fly. That person back there is not a human being. I'm kidding. But she was wise to get off the plane. I would have gotten off the plane. If he would have said he was going to take down that plane to me, I would have hopped off. I mean, who cares? You don't take your vacation. Who cares? You get to live another day. Okay? Praise God. So, seventh seal opens in heavenly silence. So we've moved up to Revelation 8, 1 through 2, and we have the seventh seal, the seven angels, they're given seven trumpets, and then the Lamb broke the seventh seal. It had been, it now is unsealed, and so this is a time date stamp. Keep that in mind. The seventh seal, you're going to know that this has occurred. There was silence in heaven, what seemed like a half an hour. Then I saw the seven angels who stand before God, and they were given seven shofars. And another angel came and stood at the altar with a gold incense bowl, and he was given a large quantity of incense to add to the prayers of all God's people on the gold altar in front of the throne. The smoke of the incense went up with the prayers of God's people from the hand of the angel before God. Then the angel took the incense bowl, filled it with fire from the altar, and threw it down onto the earth. And there followed peals of thunder, voices, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake. Now the seven angels with the seven shofars prepared to sound them, and none of those seven shofars are tekiah gedola in the Hebrew. Tekiah is a long blast, not a short staccato blast. It is a long one, and it gets louder over time. Gedola, great, great. So long, not broken blast that gets more powerful over time. So the incense is thrown down, and then we go in and threw it down onto earth. Then you go into the seven trumpets. The first four of the trumpets are environmental plagues. Okay, so you've got the flaming hail, and it gets a little bit larger to the next one, which is the second trumpet. The asteroid falls into the sea, turning it to blood. Third of the sea creatures die, so that's a little bit bigger debris coming in. Then wormwood is bigger debris coming in with the third trumpet. And then the fourth is the sun, moon, stars struck, diminished light by a third. So basically those are all environmental. They will be explained by environmentalists. You do not want to be underground at that point in time. And then you get into the woes. This is where you might want to start thinking about going underground. You want to be prepared, okay? So Jerusalem is trampled for 42 months, probably during this. No. That would be the last 42 months. They're thinking that the trumpets open up over the whole 7 years. No, they only open up during the first 42 months. So people will be plagued by the fifth trumpet. I can't describe it other than it's going to be 9-foot tall beings that come along, and if you don't have the mark of God on you, you are going to be tortured for 5 months. Okay, and then the 200 million army is going to come on the sixth trumpet, and they're going to plague people, and it's going to be horrific. And then there is no second coming of Christ with the seventh trumpet, because it's just another tekiah gedola. It's not the last trumpet. It's just described as the seventh trumpet. It's a tekiah, not a tekiah gedola. So that's the first half of the final 7 years, where the bowls are poured out. And once again, if it isn't a tekiah gedola blast, it ain't the end of the world. Okay, or the end of this time frame. So those were the trumpets, all organic at first. Then the last three are the woes, and they are judgments against mankind. Then we go into judgments against mankind with the bowls, and they're vials, bowls. They're not big bowls, but they're poured out like bowls. Okay, and I'm blanking on the Greek word for bowls right now, but basically at this point in time, you need to be underground. So you need to really start thinking about it as you get into the sixth and the seventh of the trumpets. Okay, and then the bowls are coming, and they're absolutely horrific. And that's the last 42 months. Putin has his underground bunker there. You can see Elon getting ready for his underground bunker. He runs a boring company, okay? You will want to be underground in a cave. You're poor, I'm poor, caves work, okay? And also there might be times where you could pop back out. But so basically the bowls are malignant. Ulcers appear on those with the mark of the beast. So don't get the mark of the beast, okay? Seas turn to blood. All living creatures in the sea die. Okay, that's bowl number 2. Bowl number 3, drinking water turns to blood. So potable water turns gross blood. Okay, so then the sun becomes extremely hot and scorches men. Yep, that works out with that solar micronova issue. Okay, and so Revelation 7:16, I'm blanking on it right now, but it's going to be the sun, the water. It's going to be sores on mankind, things like that. Then you're going to see the fifth bowl is Antichrist's kingdom struck with darkness. Then after the darkness comes the Euphrates, which allows these armies to come for Armageddon and fight. And then hailstones for the seventh. Oh, huge 120-pound hailstones. You'll want to be underground for that. Okay, so you might pop out at times. So now I'm going to give you the verses for why you need to have a bunker ready to go, or a prayer closet, or a cave, or whatever it happens to be. And so Adonai, when we were troubled, they sought. When they were troubled, they sought you. When you chastened them, they poured out a silent prayer. As a pregnant woman about to give birth cries out and writhes in her labor pains, so have we been at your presence, Adonai. We have been pregnant and been in pain, but we, as it were, have given birth to the wind. We haven't brought salvation, and we can't bring salvation. Only Yeshua can. And those inhabiting the world have not come to life. The resurrection hasn't occurred because of our efforts. Okay, your dead will live. Your corpses will rise. Awake and sing, you who dwell in the dust. For your dew is like the morning dew, and the earth will bring the ghost to life. Then continuing on in Isaiah 26:16 through 21. Come, my people, enter your rooms. I'm saying caves, bunkers, whatever else, at about the midpoint of the Great Tribulation. Okay, but as the sixth and the seventh trumpet hit, definitely in by the seventh trumpet. Shut your doors behind you. Hide yourselves for a little while until the wrath is past. For see, Adonai emerges from his place to punish those on earth for their sin. Then the earth will reveal the blood shed on it and no longer conceal its slain. So you'll want to go in, whether it's from World War III or from continental drift or from pole shift, or when do you run to your bunker? About the time of the end of the seven trumpets. Okay, that seems to be the best time to go in. And so you're going to need to spend about 1,335 days in there. So you're going to need food for that. That really isn't that much food, but you're also going to need to keep yourself away from plagues. And plagues come in many different ways, so you need to be ready to go for that. So whether it's one way or the other way, you run to the bunker at about that midpoint. Okay, and there will be these weird floods. There will be. This is from Matthew Stephen. I don't know yet if he's a prophet or not, but he listed off a Blue Panther map. I'm up in Minnesota. Why do I stay in Minnesota when it's so evil right now to be in Minnesota? Because of our governor and House and Senate? Well, because we have the water. We have all the water in the world, and it's underground, and it's in bogs. And I used to lay sod. I know where a lot of it is. So because we had our sod growing on top of peat. So anyway, the point is you want to be around water, and they're trying to drive us out of Minnesota so that we won't have access to the water, these evil people. So where are we? We're in the birth pangs. We're probably entering seal 4 right now. Whether it's a reduction of births or an increase of deaths, we seem to be heading into seal 4. Then we would go into that silence, and then you'd see things then. But remember, bunker time seems to be at a minimum 2028. So you'll have to prepare something, whether it's a cave or a bunker or whatever it happens to be. You're going to have to go underground for some period of time at that point in time. Then the tribulation, then the great tribulation. By the time you hit the bowls, you better be prepared to go underground for long periods of time and hide, pray. You're looking for clean garments. You're working on that. That's repentance and faith. It's a wedding coming up. Look forward to it. You'll be witnesses if you get through. And the main thing is you'll need to be in a bunker at a period of time, on and off, and be prepared for it. God bless. Thank you very much for your time. We'll talk to you again in a week. Be blessed. Bye.